Hello and welcome. My name is Bella De Jac and I am going to be going over the absolute basics of hands, feet, posture and attitude for burlesque. So, classic burlesque and traditional burlesque comes from an era where we were gown and gloves, bump and grind, and a lot of tease. So really this is where the art of tease came into burlesque. Now you can go into a whole history lesson about burlesque, but a lot of what I cover in my very, very formative classes is how we bring some of that showgirl, show boy, show pony attitude to the stage. And this is the attitude of those glorious golden age performers. So where do we start? If we've never done burlesque before, we start with our confidence, our posture, and that means our hands and feet. And if you can nail hands and feet early on, it will make every single move that you do look incredible. No one will ever know that you're a beginner. So we're going to start with shoulders, back, and really just be conscious of not forcing them back. This is about thinking about taking a big deep breath and out and letting our shoulders drop naturally back. So we're not forcing our body into strange positions just yet. What we're then going to do, and this is where potentially it might feel a little bit strange or uncomfortable, and this is where we start with our feet because we go ground up, don't we? Classic burlesque and traditional burlesque is actually easier in a slight heel than flat. It does a lot of the work for us. Choices of shoes, that is a question for another time. You just want to think, if you are starting out, if you've never worn a pair of heels before, start low, something supportive, maybe with an ankle strap. I would not suggest anything with a massive platform to start with if you are not comfortable in high heels. So just a little heel is good. And this actually helps us elevate our heel and ankle without having to kind of do all the work in our calf muscle. Okay, so 1 foot back. My foot is off to the side and I am very much hoping that you are not looking too closely at these shoes because they have been used for a very long time for burlesque classes and they're quite battered. You can see, so this is my back foot. My back foot is pointed off at an angle. So this is specifically for when you're wearing heels. This is your basic burlesque feet. Back foot is off at an angle, my toes are pointed off at an angle, and my knee is soft. I'm a little bit bow-legged, you can see, but also I don't want to lock that knee because it puts a lot of pressure on my knee, and actually if someone came along and pushed me, or if I've got off balance for some reason, I can actually do a lot of damage there if my knees aren't soft. So important to think about that. And what that also does is it makes you concentrate on pulling all of those muscles up from the knee. It means that your muscles have to do a little bit more work rather than your joint. So that's the back foot. And that's where all of our weight is really sitting. And it's why you'll notice that I swap feet a lot, because the muscles in the back are working harder than the one in the front. The one in front is really just for decoration, I like to think. It's very Karate Kid energy. So if I were pulling all of my muscles up from the knee, if I'm thinking about that, pulling up, 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 holding in with my core. Again, I'm not trying to suck my tummy in. I'm using my core to stabilize me and make sure that I'm nice and balanced and safe. And pulling up from that means that if I wanted to, I could lift that front toe. That's how much my weight is in the back leg. And at least this is how I focus on doing this. Front leg is decorative. And what we want to do is aim to create the shape that they did when they had their beautiful fishtail gowns. So my knee is in. So from the front, my front foot, my toe is on the ground. My toe is pointed ever so slightly off in the other direction. The reason for this is that if both of my toes were facing forward, I've got a very small plane on which my balance lies, and it means that I'm not actually very stable in my heels here. Whereas if I've got them out in slightly different directions, I'm covering more of a surface area. It just means I'm a little bit more stable in my high heels. So front foot is pointed a little bit out the other direction from the back foot. My toe is down, so it is giving me a little bit of balance, a little bit of reassurance, but my weight is not necessarily in that foot. And this is where it might feel a little uncomfortable to start with. I'm really focusing on pushing my ankle in towards the center. So I'm not trying to force it unnaturally necessarily, but I am putting a little bit of pressure on to focus on pulling everything into the center. So that means my ankle and my knee are aiming to come in like I'm creating a fishtail. We call this a beveled ankle. There are some other teachers who can show you beautiful beveled ankles, but this is a good starting place. The aim here is just to create a pretty shape where, do you know what? If you got photographed in this position, and every time you see a photograph of a bunch of burlesque performers, you'll see them pop the ankle, you know who they are. This is a good place to start because it always looks good in a photo. Very classic position.
Hi there, I'm Sham. Today we are going to talk about lots of getting down to the floor, but not quite the floor. We're talking about slut drops and then, in extension of that, bunny hops. So, what is a slut drop? It can be, again, kind of varied. You may just think, bow, that's a slut drop, which yes, it is. But there are lots of different ways that we can get down. So before we do this, make sure that you have done a warm-up of some kind, that your knees are nice and warm and that your legs are nice and warm. Be sure not to do this when you're absolutely cold because it's not very good for your legs. So, assuming that you have gone and done a warm-up, hopefully, make sure that those knees are feeling good. If you have any kinds of injuries at the moment, this is probably not the best thing to do for you, but what I would recommend doing is making sure that you have worked on your legs, making sure that you have the strength to do this. If anything doesn't feel right for you at any time, stop, or if you want, there's going to be 1 or 2 modifications, you can try those instead. If you have dodgy knees, I have dodgy knees, and personally, some days this is not super comfortable, other days it's fine, but there are lots of ways that we can mitigate and practice proper technique to make sure that it isn't hurting us. Cool. All right, so first thing is first, how do we get down? Now, I would recommend wearing a pair of heels. If this is, I know this seems counterintuitive, but slut drops are actually way easier wearing heels than not. Because what happens is, I just, because of flexibility, I tend to pop my heels off the ground anyway. However, if you're wearing sneakers, you're going to need to come much higher, much quicker onto your toes, right? But if you're in heels and you take a slightly wider stance, ta-da, we're actually quite comfy. We're just chilling here, yeah? So that's the end position. This is what we're going to try first of all, right? So just full frontal slut drop. So let's try it nice and slow. We're going to come down, engaging through the pelvis and the core. We're going to imagine that there's like a bit of a pole or a wall, something behind you, and you can practice this on a wall too. And you're going to make sure that when you come back that you're not leaning too far back, because what happens? Pop! And then make sure you're also not leaning too far forward, because that'll happen too, right? Try to think, if I come side on to you for a second, checking out my posture here, I'm coming down, I'm sliding my hands over my legs to support, and I'm popping down. Now, can you see, I need to make sure that these inner thighs are nice and stretched because your inner thighs are going to help hold you and squeeze you. I'm also using my core and I'm slightly contracting because if I stick the booty out, it's not wrong, it's fine. And depending on your choreography, this may be useful. However, if you plan on being here for a little bit, especially if you're going to start doing bunny hops, you want to make sure that you're not like yucky posture, all right? Tucking that pelvis in, getting comfy here. Now, coming back up, let me come to face you again. There's a few ways you could come back up. If you are super strong, pa-pow, we can jump straight up. Otherwise, you can also come up pressing on your legs. Two ways you could do that. You could press and bring it up. You could, I always like to do a little fold in. So you could twist one knee in to the other, press onto your legs, and here you can do a little booty pop to bring yourself up. So using your body weight and using the hands, pressing down on the legs to come up. So
the first turn I'm gonna do with you is one that I really love, and it's actually can feel really tricky to begin with, but I think is a real good fail-safe. In the jazz dance world, we call it a drag turn. So most of the turns I'm showing you today are for when your feet are apart, you're stuck somewhere, and you need to turn to a new direction and you need to keep moving. So my feet are apart, and maybe I want to turn, just swivel myself in the spot. Maybe instead of facing this way, I want to face that corner. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I'm on one leg, and the other leg is just going to do nothing, or it's going to lift. And as I turn, I'm always going to turn with the weight on the balls of the feet. I want to take my heel off the floor, because if we have our body weight on top of the balls of our feet, we're more secure. If we keep the weight back in the heels, we're going to fall backwards. If we fall forwards, we have, well, we're not going to fall at all, but we'll have more peripheral vision to help us than falling backwards. So when I lift onto one leg, I'm looking at ankle balance. So I'm squeezing my butt, I'm squeezing the outside of my thighs, and then I'm going to pivot, I'm going to swivel by lifting my heel to the new direction. Now that's quite clunky, isn't it? Boom, boom. So what I'm going to do is a drag. So with the other foot, and this is really great for my favorite style, blues and bumps and grinds, where I like to drag my feet on the floor. I'm going to think of my other leg kind of like putting my foot on the brake. And I'm going to like sort of push my foot and drag the toe of my foot, or even more, and drag the front of my foot, depends how low you bend, on the floor. So as I turn, and that acts as a brake to stop me. Kind of like on roller skates, how they've got the little brake on the front. Woof. And by digging that foot in, it's going to stop me turning. So it means I can put loads of swivel in my body to turn, but I can rely on the other foot to stop me when I want to stop. So if I'm only going to there, I dig the foot in quite quickly. If I want to spin maybe round to the other corner, I let it drag lightly, and then I press more as I turn. Watch. In fact, you can hear it, can't you? Magic, I love teaching. Cool. So, does that make sense? I'm going to try it on a different angle with a different foot. I'm going to go completely sideways. So the way I'm going to turn, and I'm bringing my body, I'm always thinking I'm on one leg and I'm bringing my body in to hug that side. So I'm not going to push myself backwards by pushing my shoulder open that way. I'm always going to come forwards towards the foot I'm turning on. So the side of the body is lifting, I'm thinking it's going to hug in the front. Does that make sense? So I'm on this side, and so that I can keep my balance, maybe I'm going to do a half turn to face the other side. I want to face this way, and I'm going to have the foot lightly and press it harder. Did you see that? Yeah! The great thing is when you get more confident with the drag turn, it's a really great way of letting yourself turn and putting the brakes on when you're ready. So you want to do a full turn. You see what I did there? And did you see my head and my eyes? My foot is here. I want to stop facing there, so I'm going to spot there. To you, my friends, my head's going to do the whippy whip, and my foot's going to put the brake on. Don't worry, you can always step out of it, like I just did. So, come with me. Let's put some music on. We're going to put some music on so that you can feel like you're swaying around to some music. Nice and easy, just some half turns. So face this side of the room. We're going to aim to face the other side. So rock your body side to side for me. We're just literally doing this, okay? Just go do-do, do-do. Yeah? Here we go. So. Rocking my weight on the front leg. Rocking it on the front leg. The back leg's gonna come off the floor. The back leg's gonna come off the floor. Yeah, good. Now I'm gonna hug. And as I turn, I'm gonna drag this foot on the floor. Go for it, go. I'm looking the way I went. Now put that foot down. Stand onto it. Lift the other leg. Yeah. Here we go. I'm gonna hug it forwards. Face the other way. Did you do it? Try again. 2 more. Go. 1 more. Onto the front leg. Hug yourself. Did you get it? Yeah. So now we're gonna do it. Same thing again with some music. We're gonna go walk, walk, and I'm gonna challenge you. Aim for a half, but you're gonna try and do a whole turn. So we're gonna go walk 1, 2, 3, 4. Now think I wanna open my body up and I wanna spiral it in. Turn. And if you fall out of it, it's fine. Yeah. 4 walks. The 4th walk is your step before your turn. Have a go. Here we go. So find a little bit of space. Walking forwards. Go. 4, 3, 2, 1. Spin. Did you turn all the way around? Or if you're facing the back, that's fine. Try it again. Go back to the same mark. Same foot. Here we go. 7. And walk 1, 2, 3. Stand, spiral. Whoosh. Did you do it? Other side. Yeah. So walk the other foot first. 4, 3, 2. Stand. Hug yourself. Did you do it? 1 more. 1 more. Yeah. Here we go. Walk. 4, 3, 2, 1. Drag. Did you do it? Good. All right, my friends. That is turn number 1, the drag turn.